All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is going to be our model painting today. And before we get started, I do want to request that if you are not already subscribing to our channel, if you could please hit the subscribe button and join us. It really does help our small family business. We appreciate that so very much. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. And again, my name's Tiffany. I'm the Tipsy artist. And this is a painting that we have done in many of our classes. It's been a big seller, very popular favorite. So this is going to be the model. I'm going to go ahead and place this here. We have it available in our painting kit as well, 9 by 12 size. And I wanted to go ahead and show you the templates and how this works. But also, let me give you a little view of all of our supplies. So this is the paint kit that comes with your kit here and all of your supplies. So again, you'll get everything that you need. The only thing you'll have to get out will be some water before you start, but everything else is provided. And then it also comes with the color image and your traceable. And then there's even, I have this as an additional trace to where if you wanted to have some different words, you could cut this out and tape this on. There's actually another version of Faith written in a different way, and I wanted this really big version, so I actually cut this out, taped that on, and changed it up just a little bit. So fun, different options there. I'm going to go ahead and place this off to the side. All right, so let's talk about how to get this set up. So again, it comes with your transfer paper and your traceable, and even a little roll of some tape over here that you can use. And there's also a pencil with it as well. And where is my, oh, there's my, well, there's a pencil in there. Hold on a second. All right. So here's my pencil. And so what I'm going to do is, first, let's talk about transfer paper. So you go ahead and level it up here at the top, place it in the center. I only tape up here at the very top, secure it just at the top, leave your sides free and clear so that you can lift up and check your work. That's really important. You want to make sure you get all of your trace done in advance, because once you remove the traceable, it's really nearly impossible to go ahead and match it back up again. So again, you want to be sure and get everything done first. Check it a lot through the process, and then you'll be able to lift this off. And how the tracing works is basically you're going to take your pencil here, and you're just going to go ahead and go over all of those shapes. So this is kind of a thick lettering, so I do have to kind of go over it with some thickness to go ahead and color all of it in. Just like that. And then when I do these big shapes, I don't have to color all this in, but I do have to do that line around the edge. All right, so it's going to take a little bit of time to go ahead and do all that, but it's basically going to feel just like drawing, but you're just going to be doing the tracing right over the top there. And same thing with the butterfly. I've gone over all those details. I have worked ahead a little bit, but we're going to get to that. But I want to give you that overview of how you get started. All right, so I'm going to place this pencil off to the side here. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Now, there's also a hard line inking that I've added here as well. All right, so your kit also comes with a permanent marker. So initially, this is all going to look like pencil on here because the graphite transfers it over. It's just going to look like pencil. To me, it is so much easier to go ahead and do a hardline ink. That way it bleeds through and you can do that nice, beautiful wash back and forth. So again, you're going to be taking your permanent marker at this point, and you're going to be going ahead and going over all of this work that you just did. Again, especially with this being a silhouette, very helpful. So you're going to use this permanent marker to go ahead and do all of your line art. And I'm going to go ahead and use this to fill in. That's not absolutely necessary. If you want to just outline these big shapes, you don't have to color it all in. You don't have to. I did it just for the sake of being very clear with the visual to give you that preview of this being definitely a silhouette here. All right, so we're caught up here. And again, you can just go ahead and pause during the process to give you time to go ahead and get caught up to this next stage. All right, so we are good on this. I'm going to go ahead and get started with some colors here. All right, So got your little plates here. I do have a little setup of some titanium white and some Mars black. I want to go ahead and get started with our sky first. So we've got our paint. I'm reusing an older paint set that I've already had opened. So know that that's the good news. These paints are very long lasting. Just make sure you close them up every time after use. And let's see, what else was I going to say? Well, that's the main thing. Yeah, just make sure you close up your caps every time. And again, they're going to last a long time. Now, when you do go to open for the first time and it is a brand new kit, you're going to have a silver foil liner at the very top here. You're going to have to peel that off, and then you can just start to squirt out a little amount here. I'm going to go ahead and start with a little dollop, about a dime size amount. And then I'm going to go ahead and start with my Mama brush. I'm going to place Mama into the water, give her a little spin. Then I'm going to go ahead and just pat dry here, dry off top part of the brush. I'm going to go ahead and take a nice dollop of the white, push that here. Let's do a little corner touch of the blue. Let's work that in. That's giving us a light blue. I want a little bit more intensity there, so I'm going to go ahead and darken this up just a little bit. All right, I want just a little tiny touch of some turquoise in there. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some Viridian. We're going to do a little pea-sized dollop there. And we're going to work that in. That's a bit much. Go back to the blue. There, I'm starting to hit it. There's that beautiful color. Okay, that's looking very pretty. A little bit more white, lighten that up a little bit. Let's go ahead and grab a little bit more water, work that into the mix. We're going to make that paint really fluid. Again, a little bit more water here. All right, now we talked about that real smooth, back and forth, nice horizontal transition. We're going to go ahead and start by just going back and forth. And then add a little bit of water. That's going to help that paint really flow into that surface area. And again, because we've got this inking here, we can go ahead and just paint right over the top. And you can see it's bleeding through beautifully. That's exactly what we want. I'm going to grab just a little bit of white. We're going to start to work that in. Just back and forth. Really pretty. All right, now we're going to rinse out. Now I'm going to take a little bit of our primary magenta. We're going to go ahead and spray out a dollop of that. And then I'll be anticipating a little bit of some cadmium red next. Beautiful. Let's go ahead. Actually, let me get a little bit of orange loaded out. As I see the progression here, it's going to just go all the way down. All right. Rinse out again, pat dry. And then again, next will be our primary magenta. So we're going to go ahead and push into that. Maybe a little bit of water in there too. And we're going to go over, do a little slight overlap here over the top. Now, the primary magenta really beautifully blends in well with our turquoise. So again, a little bit of an overpaint and that soft blend between the two. We get a nice soft transition. So there's some firm pressure that's happening. And as the two mix, you will notice that they're going to start to make a little bit of a purple hue, and that's okay. I'm going to go back into a little bit more of that primary magenta. Sweep that back and forth. Light hand, light gentle hand too. When you want to start checking out lighten that, but a little bit more of that paint just really rests right on the surface. Our lettering is still bleeding through beautifully. That's what we want. Then I can go ahead and go into a little bit of our cadmium red. We're starting with that progression of color that does blend well together. So back and forth, firm pressure. And if for some reason you feel like you're covering up your letters and it's not bleeding through, remember you can add a little bit more water, firm pressure, go back and forth, and that'll help make this a little bit more translucent to where it's going to show up better. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and rinse out because I don't want to have any of that blue carry down into the next phase of color because it will not blend as well. So again, I'm going to start to pick up a little bit more of this cadmium red. Push that back and forth. Pick up a little bit more of that primary magenta too. That's really pretty in there. We're going to pick up a little bit of that orange. It's going to be our next phase here. A little bit of overpaint to give that soft transition. Okay, and you can see the background is just, it's all bleeding right through. It's lovely. Love it. Okay, I'll just keep going back and forth. It's very relaxing. All right, now we're going to go ahead and push into our cadmium yellow. Sweep that back and forth. It's getting really warm and bright there. I'm going to do another pretty big dollop of that. Look that back and forth. And you still have a little bit of that orange you can see kind of peeking through there. And then a little bit of yellow. It's like a very beautiful and vibrant. Perfect yellow. Right. Very pretty. Okay. I love it. All right, so that's all good to go. Now we're going to go ahead and rinse out. A little bit more residual paint and go ahead and get all that out. And now we're going to go ahead and start to work in our black. So I'm going to go ahead and pick my little buddy here to begin with. And start to work this here at the base. And I'm going to start with just matching the shape that was on the template to begin with. But I promise we're going to do a little bit of that grass texture too as an option. You can leave it just more of this rocky, simple look if you want. Or when I get to the point when I do the grass, we're going to save that towards the end. That you can have that option for a different look. But doing this little bit of black too, it's also going to give us some time to let all this set up and dry before we actually get into the more detailed work with the butterflies and the lettering. So pretty simple at this stage. I'm using my little buddy brush. We're just putting in some of that black, doing that little bit of cutting work. It gets to be kind of tight in there in some of these smaller areas. We may have to switch over to our little bit brush. But right now I can go ahead and Some of this with that little buddy brush. And it's a pretty big section. I'm not gonna go over all of that with little buddy, because you can see it gets a little bit delicate now, but I'm gonna do the big sections here. And one other thing you can do, since you've got the luxury of just having time to let completely set up and dry, you can actually, if you'd like, you can let all of this set up and dry. And then use your permanent marker, come back in, outline everything, and then come back in and paint over the top. That makes it a lot easier for these little tiny details in here. Also makes it easier if you have a little bit of a shaky hand. There's a little bit of that silhouette done. Real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and take my little bit brush. Let's go ahead and spin it, loosen up those bristles a little bit. We're gonna add a little bit of water to the black, make it a little bit soupy. Then you can do a little twirl into this paint. That'll give you a nice fine point. And we're gonna go ahead and work around that profile of your face. Very gentle hand. Just take it real slow. And again, if you're more comfortable doing the outline with this first, with your permanent marker, just make sure you let it completely set up and dry first before you get into that. And that is a little bit easier for beginners. Yeah. And then let's do that little ear. And get around the outer edge of this horse face here. Put into that water, give it a twirl. And again, a little twirl. I'll go ahead and do some of these little details here. And then I'll switch back to the smaller brush. And then there's our little tail. We want that to come to a fine point. So I got a vent out here. Make sure I get all that black out. And then a little bit. All right, now we're gonna go back in with the body. And we're just working in this black all the way through here. That's good. Good job. Okay. It's gonna be so pretty. Love it, love it, love it. This is such a fun and simple technique with the silhouette. Mhm. And we have our little rag here. Throw that in. Looking good. All right, we'll do some cut-ins. Use the thin line edge of the brush. Just hold it with the pencil. Mhm. Beautiful. And then once you've got this in, then you can work on your texture a little bit. I'm gonna do a little bit of a crisscross back and forth to give some nice texture. So when it dries, it has a nice pattern. Believe it or not, that does show up a little bit when it starts to dry. So again, just a little bit of tiny crisscross back and forth. Very nice. And over here and start to work on the flowers. So pretty. All right, I'm gonna do a little turn here. Maybe get a better angle. Work better. It's kind of pulling towards me here. Um, the little buddy brush. This is a will give you a nice thin line edge on the end of that brush to use as a tool here. With an angle, with an angle here. We're going to wait on that butterfly with our little bit brush. Very nice. Run it back this way. And then I'm gonna do, let's see, where are we here? This drawing. Ooh, it is. It's lovely. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and rinse out. To me, the lettering is much easier to do. The kit comes with the Sharpie. So, so once this is dry, Sharpie is really going to be your best friend for working in. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So you can just follow that along beautifully with a really nice smooth hand. And you can always come back over the top of this with a little bit of texture paint to make it look a little bit more painterly. This is definitely the way to go. Don't want to put my hand into the wet paint, so be careful around here. Now we've got top part of that. We got F. Ta-da, so pretty. All right, and this is really helpful for the butterfly too. And you can, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this because this is all very wet for me. And I don't want my hand in there, so I'm gonna go ahead and work in this butterfly to where I can easily let my hand rest on the surface. And I'm gonna give you, this is some nice option. You can leave that rainbow color kind of coming through your butterfly, which is really pretty. Or you can fill in with the white, so that's kind of an option there. And let's go over here. And again, it's really important to make sure that you do this part only on dry paint, or else it'll just ruin the Sharpie. But basically just dull out and dry up the end. All right. So very pretty there. And again, this could literally just be the end if you wanted to keep it simple and just stop. Or some options. We're going to go ahead and show you, I'm going to show you the white in here and a little bit more of a vibrant orange inside the butterfly. But I'm going to take my little bit brush. We're going to go ahead and grab some of this white. Okay, make sure and do a little swirl in here. Give a nice fine point. And then turn this back to this direction. And very gentle hand. Some of those fun little white details, very pretty. Now, something else you can do too that's quite lovely is those little tiny dots. There's a little trick you can do. So you use the end of the handle and you do a little tiny push into the white, and then you just barely touch down around the edge. So real gentle hand. So go ahead and just barely touch. See for those tiny little dots on there. Whoops, let me get to see. That way there. I think I just painted my mind. All right, so then push down where, see that white's up on the tip there? And then with a really gentle hand, just want to barely touch for those dots. Okay, super cute. All right. Come back over here to this one, and we're going to push in some of that really pretty orange. So I've got one a little bit, got my orange paint. Let's add a little bit of that cadmium yellow to it to warm it up. Do that with a twirl. Just kind of back in, doing a little bit more of that color. Inside. Give that a little twirl. A little on there yellow to lighten it up a little bit. Tiny little touches. And a little twirl in here to get it right on the tip of that brush. And if you do a little bit of overlap over the black, you can always come back in and take your permanent marker and kind of go when it dries and go right back in. And little tiny touches here. Fill that in. Oh, very pretty. Let's go ahead and rinse out. And now we can do those fun little dots on this one as well. It's a really nice touch. So again, the end of the brush, we're going to dip into the white. And we'll do a few more on the way outside. Little tiny touches. Um, quite lovely. And then, of course, last step is to sign your masterpiece down here. So you can do something kind of subtle, or you can make it very noticeable with like a white. I'm gonna try this. I think I like the idea of these turquoise. I'm just gonna do a quick initial here. So a little bit of water, a little twirl. This will stand for Tipsy Artist. Nice. Okay. Rinse out. All right, so we are done. This is beautiful. Y'all did such a great job. So again, all the supplies that you need are on our website at tipsyartist.com. Oh, you know what? I forgot about the grass. I'm so sorry. I was like going around going, I'm done. No, I'm not. All right. So you could be done theoretically, but we're going to talk about grass here a little bit too. All right. So let's go ahead and take little Buddy. I'm going to show you a little bit with that, and then we'll go into a little bit. So do a firm press into that black. Let's grab some water. And make sure our edge is very thin. And then you just kind of pull from the base and just pull straight up. And see how it's making little wispy waves of glass. We're definitely going to do some around across there. And then just pull straight up and then lift off with a light hand. And then back here. If you need a second coat over the light yellow, then you can kind of fill that in too to kind of make that darker. But you do want to lift off with a light hand when you get to the end of the blade of grass. Very nice. It's looking great. I'm so glad I remember that grass. Ooh, it's a close one. I'm just coming back in and adding a little bit more thickness of black where that edge was. Make sure it's opaque enough at the base of the grass. We're good. Just crossing it out. Using, make sure you get, if there's any little peekaboo white, make sure and paint over it with that coverage in there. Good. Now I think we're done. All right, good job. No, we're not. Oh my God, what's wrong with me? Clouds. And I'm not even drinking. Wish I had that excuse, but I don't. I don't know. Okay. I swear, I think after the clouds, we really will be done. Okay. Let me go ahead and use my little buddy brush here. We're going to grab some of this white and we're just going to kind of tap, 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 pounce it out. Have a rounded shape. And kind of let it almost get, really work it in and pounce, pounce, bounce. And so the brush will get a little bit dry. And then you want that little bit of dry brush effect coming around the edge of the cloud. And then as you start to go, you can kind of start to go out to this horizontal line. You can kind of thin out that line a little bit. And then just barely kind of tap, 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 and let that taper a little bit. And the brush is becoming kind of dry like that. So continue tapping. Okay, should be pretty. And you can do more clouds like over here to the side. We're gonna do another little one here, just a little bit of kind of round it out, just a little one. Deep tap, 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 firm pressure. And then that one kind of goes to a little point. Right. And then go back into the white. Just gonna do another one here. Tap, tap, tap. And we can add some of that fullness of the rounded curve. And then we're going to taper it to a little line of paint, just kind of to a thin section there. Just kind of lift off with the right hand towards the end. Yeah, let the brush get a little bit dry and just continue tapping that. And you can do another one kind of here in the center too, just a little one. Just a lot of firm pressure, and just kind of tapping that out, a little bit of roundness. And then kind of go to a little thing. Let it thin out on the sides. So you can have a little bit more fullness in the center. And do one more here. One the baby pad. All right, so pretty. Okay, I'll be done now. I'm gonna look at it again. Let's see where I'm at. Man, I think now we're done. I'm looking once, twice. Man, I think so. Okay. All right. Now I think we're finally done. So again, we have our clouds, we have our grass, we have our silhouette all the way in. We have our lettering, did the dots, just kind of going over everything. And again, if you do want some textural black paint, this looks great the way it is. But again, that's just taking your little bit brush and just doing a little bit more paint right over the top here. Just for a little bit of texture. And that's really overachieving. Very not necessary at all, but you can do that if you want. All right. So again, I'll leave all the details below in the comments about like the link where to find this painting kit online and everything. And again, all of your supplies can be found on our website at tipsyartist.com. And it's been a true pleasure painting with y'all today. Y'all have a beautiful rest of the day and we'll see you soon. Much love to y'all. Toodles.